Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? It's still my birthday, man. It's 10:01 over here. It's 2200 hours over in Eastern time. Hope you guys having a great week so far. Appreciate everybody who supported me and joined me today. This is our third live for the day. I wasn't going to do another live, ladies and gentlemen, but I felt I had to. I mean, what can I say? I'm a workaholic, all right? It is what it is. It's a part of who I am. And when the research crew sent me these updated documents that they just pulled off of the website, I had to cover it because last night we had a really good guest. We had a defense attorney, and one of the things that we spoke about when I was trying to get into the brain of this defense attorney to make you guys understand, number one, the important job that the defense attorneys do in our system, right? And number two, a different way of looking at the evidence and looking at the arguments. One of the things we spoke about was the motion that's going to be heard on either the 23rd or the 25th. I forgot which day it was exactly, where the judge is going to be hearing arguments on should the cell phone evidence be thrown out. Well, we played a little devil's advocate. I have to say it just for the record, me and the defense attorney, we both believe that the judge is going to side on the side of the prosecution. We don't believe that the judge is going to throw out the cell phone evidence, which is a big part of the case. We're just professionals in law enforcement and in the criminal justice system that we know that it's a good argument that the defense is making in terms of how the phone was taken and how permission was given. It doesn't mean that law enforcement did anything wrong. We simply pointed out, I pointed out from a detective's point of view, the defense attorney pointed out from a defense attorney's point of view, that the way it was taken was not aligned with best practices, okay? So just understand, nobody, these professionals on True Crime with Strategic, we're not saying get worried, the judge is going to throw out this evidence. We're not saying that. All we're doing is we're telling you, hey, we don't think that it was taken and it was examined using best practices, and therefore it's a good argument that the defense is making. It doesn't mean it's a winning argument. It's just a good argument. So I absolutely could not go to bed tonight knowing that the prosecution has finally answered the defense's motions. So now I have not pre-read it. I said, let me save it for you guys so we could do it together. You know, I like going on these journeys together as a family. We're going to listen to, or rather you're going to listen to me read, and oh my gosh, I do a lot of reading on this channel. A lot of reading on this channel. We need to like find an AI or something that can like read it for me so we can all get read to, because like I feel like I am a dad, but I feel like I'm your dad and I'm reading you a bedtime story. I'm pretty sure at least one or two of you are falling asleep in all the reading we do on True Crime with Strategic. But anyway, we're going to hear from the prosecutor's mouth what their argument is against the defense's motion. And it might be 100% compelling that at the end of this, I'll say, you know what? I think they put a really good answer to these motions. I definitely don't believe that there's even a minutia of a chance that the defense might win their motion. We'll see. We'll see, and we'll figure it out together. So before we get started, I'm an active duty law enforcement officer. I'm a sex crimes detective. I've been investigating sex crimes in various positions for my entire adult life. I'm hitting my 18 and a half years of service. I can retire at 42. I just turned 41 today. What does that tell you? A little bit over a year to go. That means a lot to me. It's been quite a journey, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite a journey. It makes me very emotional when I think about the amount of time I've spent in law enforcement and the amount of time I have left. It kind of creeps up on you, and it's like, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? Sometimes it's a little stressful. Sometimes it's a little emotional. It's not like I have to go, but the fact that I can go now becomes like a shadow on my back. Like, hey, you could go. It's crazy. Whatever. Let me not get off track. Bottom line is, been in law enforcement for a very long time. continue to serve the people. I investigate sex crimes on a daily basis. It's what I do for a living. I have a lot of training, a lot of experience, and I don't think we need to do the whole preamble because all we're doing is just reading off of emotion. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Let's ask Detective Tagler if she understands what I'm saying.
Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. It makes sense to Tagler. I think it makes sense to me too. Does it make sense to you, Tagler?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to her. It makes sense to me too. You know, I had to debut the new Tagler meme. We will be using that for years to come on this show, Detective Tagler. You are now famous. Does that make sense? Anyway, we're about to jump into this bad boy. Big shout out to all those green names in the chat. That means you are a Strategic Eyes member. I appreciate you guys immensely for showing love to me. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Do me a favor, my members who are in the chat, remind people to hit the like button when they come in here. I'm going to be reading through this. I'm going to try and not go back and forth to the chat as much as I usually do, unless somebody sends me a super chat or something like that, because I got to show you love if you send me a super chat, because I want to get through this, and then I want to go back to doing what I was doing, which is not being on here. Big shout out to Jennifer Mills with a $5 super chat. Said, I'd like to think that Madeline's death is what sparked the fall of that whole ring out of Florida. She made the connection for the detectives. I mean, you could think that if you like. I honestly just think that ring that we covered earlier is just one of many that had no connection with Stearns. I do believe that he was involved in some type of ring. That's how he got the 35,000 other pictures and videos. But, you know, unfortunately, this stuff is widespread and it's happening a lot, and it's in every community, it's in every country, and it's just not something that one person is going to lead you to. It's possible, but what I'm trying to impress upon you is that it's bad out there. It's worse than what you think. It's worse than what any of you think unless you're in the business. Understand this is a problem of epidemic proportions, especially when you get to the level of the consumers versus the producers. There's not that many producers. There's a ton of consumers, and that's the problem. The people who are willing to view that stuff. There are multitudes, tens of millions of the people who are willing to view the product of those evil wares and deeds. Please know that, because by embracing that fact, we can start enacting the change that will stop it and will protect these children. Keep that in mind. Please do. And thank you so much for the super chat, Jennifer Mills. All right, let me get back in here. Like I said, it's not going to be a 2-hour live. We're not doing that today. We're looking at 35 to 40 minutes, an hour max. All right, let's go ahead and bring it in here. These motions are fresh off the presses, ladies and gentlemen. They were just released. I'm not sure if they're released. They were released 2 days ago. I haven't seen anybody else talk about it. If somebody has, I apologize. You know, I don't strive to be first. We don't break news here. But I'm just telling you from my observations, I haven't heard anybody else talk about these motions. So hopefully we will be able to educate you if this is your first time reading it with me. All right, so let me go ahead and bring this over here. Okay. Cool. Just make some minor adjustments, guys. Bear with me. You guys are amazing. We got 84 people in the room. Please hit that like button. 184, only 102 likes. Okay. I see how you guys I see how you guys think about me on my birthday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. You guys hate me. All right. Let me zoom in a little bit. Make it easier for all of us to read. Oh, what's going on here? Come on. Take it easy. Oh, I guess I can't use that here. You zoom in using this. Perfect. Okay, let's do it. All right, so state's response to defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from Google search warrant. Now, I think this is just for the Google search. I thought this was for the phone. This is for the Google search. The one that I'm interested in is the phone. This is important too. Don't get me wrong. We're going to read through this. This is important. But the phone is the one where we're going to get that real argument. So they dropped the one for the search. We'll read through this. But I don't think that the Google search was a problem. The Google search wasn't a problem. The problem was the phone. So definitely when they dropped the response for the phone, know that we're going to be on that and we're going to review that. But this one is not as salacious and I wouldn't say salacious. Salacious is the wrong word. It's not as interesting, in my opinion, as the phone, right? So let's get into this, but just let you guys know, this is not the one that's talking about the phone. Big shout out to Dr. Cataclysm, celebrating 19 months as a member. 19 months, guys. 19 months. Says happy birthday. Patty celebrating 5-month membership as a recruit. And Dr. Cataclysm gave us 5 gift memberships. So please do, if you got that gift membership, thank Dr. Cataclysm. Really, really nice of you for doing that. All right, let's do this. Come now, the state of Florida, by and through the undersigned assistant state attorney hereby states as follows. Procedural history. The defendant was arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant in above styled case on February 29, 2024. On March 11, 2024, the state filed an information charging the defendant with 8 counts of ex-battery on the juvie under 12, 5 counts of ex-battery with a juvie 12 to 18, 7 counts of lewd, lascivious, and 40 counts of unlawful possession of material depicting X performance by a juvie, 10 or more images. The state provided discovery to the defense on March 20th, 2024, and discovery has been ongoing. On February 6, 2025, the defense filed defendant's motions to suppress evidence obtained from Google search warrant. The motion alleged violations of the 4th Amendment to the United States Constitution. We read that. I love those motions. Really good motions. Not saying that they're winnable, but they're good motions. On February 26, 2024, 13-year-old blank missing to the Orange County Sheriff's Office by her family. The family contacted law enforcement at approximately 4:30 p.m. Remember, not Jen. Not Jen. Her mother and her sister. Everybody but Jen contacted the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Let's continue. There were 3 calls made to the Orange County Sheriff's Office prior to deputies' arrival. None of them were placed by Jen. Just want to say that. No shade. Okay, shade. Let's keep it moving. At approximately 7:35 p.m., Deputy Frank Joseph with the Orange County Sheriff's Office made contact with Jennifer Soto, the defendant, and members of Ms. Soto's family. All individuals were present in the lobby of the business building in which Ms. Jennifer Soto's mother worked. Deputy Joseph inquired as to the identifying information for blank from Ms. Soto and the family. We know who blank is. The defendant stated he had dropped blank to school that morning. They cutting out more than just her name because, look, drop blank school, drop Maddie, where's the 2? They blacked out the 2. The defendant described Maddie as wearing a green hoodie, white Crocs, and either blue or black pants. Remember when Jen corrected him, even though she never saw Maddie? It's just the beginning of her fallacies. All the tall tales she told us during those initial interviews, just the beginning of it. Deputy Joseph also informed that Maddie forgot her cell phone to school that day and only had her school computer. They kind of got some grammar issues. Whatever paralegal wrote this, did they proofread it? I don't know. But, you know, the lawyers never write this stuff. It's always the paralegals that do. The paralegals do all the heavy lifting in any type of law environment. Remember that. Paralegals do the heavy lifting. At approximately 7:47 p.m., Jennifer Soto provided Madeline Soto's phone to law enforcement to review. Sworn written statements were collected from the defendant and Jennifer Soto on February 26, 2024. The defendant's sworn statements stated as follows. Dropped off about a block or so from school sometime between 8:25 to 8:40 a.m., turned around and headed back towards town. I watched in my rear view mirror as she made her way in the direction of school. She was busy searching through her backpack for something, but seemed to still be moving towards the school, so I carried on with my day. I stopped by a nearby vape shop, but it was closed, so I went home. I left about an hour or so later to check the shop again. It was open, so I bought my vape juice and returned home. Relaxed with Jen for a while, later went out in the afternoon for a few more errands and returned home around 2:30. That's a synopsis of Stephan Stern's statement. Here's Jen Soto's statement. Jen Soto's written statement states as follows. Today around 8 a.m., I saw Maddie getting ready for school. Lies. This is why myself and the defense attorney said she can't get on the stand without some type of immunity deal because she lied too much. Also, whenever she gets on the stand, because she's going to have to get on the stand, that's why they're going to give her a deal, the defense attorney is going to move to impeach her because she's a liar. She's such a liar that William J. said that everything she said in the past was dirt under the bridge. Let's keep going. I'm not sure what time they departed. Stephan Stearns took her to school and dropped her off close to school on Town Loop Boulevard between Town Center Boulevard and Hunter Creek's Park Lane. Around 8:30 to 8:45 a.m. Doesn't that sound rehearsed to you guys? Sounds rehearsed to me, but let's keep going. She never made it to school. I went to school around 4 p.m. to pick her up. She went earlier than 4 p.m. She went around 2:30, but let's keep going. And she never came out. She only stayed 5 minutes after the bell rang. She was there since 2:30, or rather she left her house at 2:30. It's only like a 15-minute drive to get to the school. She left her house at 2:30. She waited around for an hour, maybe even more. And then when the bell rang, she left 5 minutes after the children were released from school. Does that make sense to you? You know what? Does that make sense? I don't know.
Does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense to me, but let's keep going. I searched the area, went to my mother's office to look for Maddie, and could not find her. That's their statements in a nutshell. Let's keep going. At approximately 9:05 p.m., accompanied by law enforcement, the defendant drove his vehicle to the area he claimed to have dropped Maddie at. The defendant stopped in the middle of the roadway and got out of his vehicle. The defendant claimed they were standing in the area in which he had last seen Maddie something time. Law enforcement provided the defendant with Maddie's cell phone. Deputy Joseph made contact with a church in the area and went through the video surveillance. That's one where we saw the grainy footage. They never showed it again. But like when the news first covered it, they actually showed the footage. From moving forward, when I see stuff like that in these big time cases, I'm going to screenshot them or screen record them. But anyway, let's keep going. At approximately 12:30 a.m., they were working until late in the morning, too. They really put a lot of work into trying to find Maddie when they thought that she was alive. So kudos to law enforcement. Look what time it is. It's 12:30 a.m., and they're still working. Officer Tristan Clark arrived at the home of Jennifer Soto. There's a lot of departments that just be like, oh, she'll come back home. We'll start back up tomorrow. There's a lot of departments that would have just, she's just a runaway. She'll show up tomorrow. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Let's keep going, though. My apologies. At approximately 12:30 a.m., Officer Tristan Clark arrived at the home of Jennifer Soto and is greeted by Miss Soto and the defendant. Law enforcement was actively searching for Maddie, unsuccessful. By all accounts, the defendant was the last person to have seen Maddie. So they're giving a date, but that's redacted. I don't think it's Maddie. I think it's just a date. I don't know what that is. They just redacting all kinds of stuff. It only makes sense what they redacted. Anyway, let's keep going. On February 27, 2024, at approximately 12 p.m., Detective Francis Hunt with the Orange County Sheriff's Office conducted an audio-recorded interview with the defendant. Detective Hunt swore the defendant in prior to asking him questions. The defendant reiterated that the last time that he saw Maddie was dropped off for school the day prior. During his interview, the defendant told Detective Hunt that he did not recall the exact time of the drop-off because he left his phone at home. Okay. It was also during this interview that the defendant stated that Maddie slept alone with him in the upstairs bedroom. Ugh. Oh, terrible. Well, so Jen could get better sleep. The defendant also told Detective Hunt that Maddie's phone left her phone at the residence as well when they left for school. I added that in because I figured that's what he said, but we don't know what was said there, but pretty much said that she left her phone too. At approximately 7:16 p.m., an audio recorded interview with the defendant is conducted by Detective Maria Tagler and Louis Acosta. Maria who?
Does that make sense?
Tagler. That's right. Let's keep going. The interview occurred at 4012 Santa Maria Drive, the Soto residence. Now, everybody knows the Soto residence by now. It's on tons of documents. We are not doxing them. It is what it is, okay? Do not bother these people. Don't go to their house. Don't try and track them down. Don't try and track Jen down. Don't call her phone numbers. Leave these people alone. I'm a Law and Order guy, and I'm of the opinion that if anybody bothers Jen or Stephan's parents, you deserve to go to jail. But we could talk about them here on YouTube. Let's keep going. The defendant was not in handcuffs and was free to leave. There were two plainclothes detectives conducted the interview of the defendant. The defendant stated that he and Maddie between 7:30 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. The defendant again reiterated. See, they redacted tons of stuff here, so I don't know. I think he said they left between 7:30 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. The defendant again reiterated that he dropped off Maddie something from the school the day prior. The defendant detailed their route on the way to drop her off. The defendant indicated that he tried to go to the McDonald's near Hunters Creek Middle School. However, he did not stop at McDonald's. The defendant estimated that he dropped Maddie off approximately at 8:20 a.m. Then there's a white space here, and it says to 8:40 a.m. At approximately 7:37 p.m., after the defendant detailed all of this information, the following exchange occurred between Detective Tagler and the defendant. Detective Tagler, do you mind if I look at your maps real quick? Defendant, yeah, that's fine. Detective Tagler, thanks.
Does that make sense?
Let's keep going. The defendant unlocked his cell phone and handed it to Detective Tagler. There is some more clarification with Detective Acosta on the route that the defendant took to the school and the location of where he claimed to have dropped Madeline off. Detective Tagler had the following conversation with the defendant. What did Tagler say? So Detective Tagler, do you mind if I just take a picture of your history? Defendant, yeah, that's fine. The defendant and Detective Acosta discussed what time classes began at Hunters Creek Middle School. Detective Tagler had the following conversation with the defendant. So it looks like they're kind of talking about the whole cell phone thing within this answer to the motion too. I suspect that because they have to answer each individual motion, I suspect a lot of this will be repeated for the other motions as well. So when we read the motion that's going to be addressing, or the answer to the motion that's addressing the taking of the cell phone, a lot of this language is going to be in there as well, right? Because they're all connected, right? So let's keep going.
Does that make sense?
Does it make sense, guys? I think it makes sense. Let's keep going. So the defendant and middle school, Detective Tagler had the following conversation with the defendant. Defective. She's not a defective. I'm sorry. Freudian slip. Detective Tagler, what kind of phone is this? The defendant, a S23 Ultra, I think. Let's keep going. Detective Tagler, I don't know how to work this thing. That's what I would say if it was an Apple phone. I don't know how to work Apple phones at all. Let's keep going. Defendant, I'm sorry. I barely know how to work it myself. Lies, Stephan Stearns. I need to get some more sound effects here, man. Let's get the hell now. Let's get that loaded up. Perfect. And let's get the, ain't nobody got time for that. I like that one too. Load that one up.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Perfect. It's ready to rock and roll. All right. Let's get it here to the beginning. So I want to hit it. All right. Boom. Defendant. Tagler. Detective Tagler. I'm an iPhone person. Defendant. Detective Tagler. Is it okay if I go in your settings real quick? I just want to see if you're logged onto your Google. Defendant, I'm not logged onto my Google with that actually. Detective Tagler, is it okay if I check? Defendant, yeah. There was some further discussion between Detective Acosta and the defendant regarding what type of digital devices she kept them. Remember, this thing is, if you hear me read funny, it's because of the way this document is written and the way that they edited it. Because it looks like it's more than just redacted. It looks like they literally edited out some words. Seriously. And guys, by the way, we got almost 350 people watching this live right now. It's not easy reading like crazy out loud to yourself with big bright lights flashing on you in a camera. Please hit that like button to support the channel. Please hit the like button. Support the channel so we can get into the algorithm and our show could be seen by a wider audience. We would like to grow this channel to a wider audience. Let's keep going. Detective Tagler then had the following conversation with the defendant. Detective Tagler, hold on. I don't know how to use this phone. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Brief conversation occurred about blank's behavior. Detective Tagler, this is back more to the conversation. Detective Tagler, is this what you use to go places? Defendant, yes. Go places, search addresses, look at store hours, write reviews. It's a pretty new phone though. Detective Tagler, when did you come back to help Jen? Is that her name? Defendant, what do you mean? Detective Tagler, because you live down south. When did you come back up north to help her? Defendant, I just got here this weekend. Detective Tagler, do you remember what day it was? Defendant, Sunday. Sunday was her birthday party. So yeah, it was the evening after her birthday party, Sunday. Detective Tagler, okay. Do you remember what time you got here on Sunday? Defendant, 8:30ish maybe. Detective Tagler, okay. Defendant, just in time to make sure that she was doing all her nighttime routines waiting for her mom to get home. Detective Tagler, you live in Northport, right? Defendant, yeah, I split my time between two places. Detective Tagler, is that on Snug Street? Defendant, yeah. Detective Tagler, what makes sense? Or that makes sense. You have a lot of Snug Street on here. Defendant, yeah, I split my time between the two. Detective Acosta inquired as to whether the defendant and Jennifer Soto went anywhere to look for Maddie. On February 26, 2024, the defendant denied knowing whether they went to look for Maddie because he had taken ativan the night before because he had been so worried. Now, in the chat, you guys tell me exactly what ativan does. Anybody in the chat, let me know. And Aki, pin that so I can see it on my peripheral and I can read it. Somebody do me that solid. Get me an ativan breakdown. What is it used for? And what are some of its side effects? Somebody said anxiety. What are some of the side effects of ativan? Let's keep going. Detective Acosta then went through the details of the directions for the routes that the defendant claimed to have driven to take Maddie. The defendant went through this discussion again, but this time included time frames. Detective Acosta then indicated that the defendant's vehicle was not where he indicated that he was according to the traffic cameras in the area. The defendant then indicated that he went back home because he had forgotten his gate clicker. There we go with that clicker. Okay, let's keep going. At 7:53 p.m., Detective Tagler handed the defendant his phone back. Immediately after handing the defendant his phone back, Detective Tagler stepped away from the defendant. Detective Acosta stayed with the defendant, and they continued speaking. Detective Acosta and the defendant had the following exchange approximately 7:54 p.m. Detective Acosta, how long have you and her mom been together? Defendant, 6 years. I've known blank since she was 6. That would have been 7 years. We've done the math. It's actually 7 years. But he acknowledges that he's known Jen Soto since Maddie was 6. So I have been helping raise her for half her life. Correction. You have been victimizing her for half her life. Let's keep going. She considered me like a dad, and I loved her. I broke up when I said that because it's evil words. It's like I'm speaking lies out of my mouth. But it's not my words, so it is what it is. She considered me like a dad, and I loved her like she was my own. Thank God he never had his own. They would probably get the same treatment that Maddie got. Let's keep going. At 7:57 p.m., Detective Tagler returned and has the following interaction with the defendant. Detective Tagler, can you unlock this one more time, please? Defendant, sure. Detective Tagler, I have a question. I see that. I'm going to get to that in the chat in a second. Thank you. Defendant, yup. Detective Tagler, sorry, are you guys done? The other detective mentioned that you did not have your phone yesterday. The defendant, correct? Detective Tagler, tell me about that. All right, so we'll stop right there 1 second so I could go to the chat and read out my request for ativan. So big shout out to I am Shiny pop star who said ativan is also used to treat insomnia caused by anxiety or temporary situational stress. Ativan is sometimes used to treat nausea and vomiting from cancer treatment and to control agitation caused by, and that's all we got. Cool. Thank you. And Tonta37 with a $10 super chat says, happy birthday, Strategic. She says, happy birthday, my brother. Appreciate you. And to continue what the person was saying, it says side effects being forgetful, clumsiness, constipation, decreased interest in sexual intercourse, disturbed color perception, dizziness, or lightheadedness, double vision, and drowsiness. All right, cool. It sounds like a drug that probably does more harm than good. I mean, seriously, like, it's like those commercials that says, yeah, they take this to save your life, but it might kill you too. like might as well not take it. Anyway, let's keep going. All right. Defendant, I left my phone home in the morning too. I was so busy writing her. What? I was so busy writing her? Okay. I left my phone home in the morning too. I was so busy writing her, or redacted, out the door on time that I left my phone. She left her phone. We both left our phones. The reason why I stopped there is I wasn't trying to be funny and say something naughty with the whole writing her thing. This is my honest reason for double taking on writing her, because it's disgusting, is that Stephan Stearns, in my opinion, says what he means, but you don't know that he's saying what he means. So, for instance, we had time to kill. How many times did he say we had time to kill? But did he really? But he was saying it in the context of we had a lot of time to spare. But we all know that he literally killed her, right? And then so you see something like, saying something like, I was so busy riding her. I'm sure he meant, on her back, hurrying her to get out the house. But it's like, with Stephan Stearns, you never know. Like, does he mean something else? Because that's what he double talks. He speaks in code. We already did a show on some of these words and terms that he uses. When we went to the Urban Dictionary and these other places, we saw that some of those things that he used on a regular could also be construed as very salacious and disgusting things on the low. Even his screen name, Sustenance. It had to deal with the whole BDSM thing. And then people are like, well, Strategic, what's the evidence that he was into BDSM and all that stuff? Well, he was on FetLife. He was on a website that's dedicated to people who are interested in these type of fetishes and BDSM finding each other. And then, what is the cause of death of Maddie? Strangulation. What do people do in BDSM? What's part of their play? Strangulation. So he talks, he double speaks. The things he says have double meanings. Has mundane, regular, everyday meanings, and then it also has salacious meanings. So that's why it makes me pause. You can't trust anything that Stephan Stearns says. It always has a diabolical meaning on the side. Let's keep going. Detective Tagler. Bring it over here so I can read it better. Did you have your phone when you went to the smoke shop? Defendant. Not the first time after I dropped her off. I was still without it. I got it, got my phone, and went back to the smoke shop. Detective Tagler. Okay. Defendant. Later when I got home. Detective Tagler. Okay. I also noticed I was checking your call history. I noticed that you don't have anything before this morning. Is that usual on your phone? Defendant. No. It's a new phone. Stupid. I went to do an update yesterday morning. And I don't know what the F, pardon me, I don't know what the heck I did, but somehow during the massive OS update, I managed to factory reset my phone and lose all my contents, all my information. Detective Tagler. What time was that? Do you remember? Defendant. Sometime while I was hanging out with Jen. Jen might know. I looked at her and I said, what did I just do? Detective Tagler. Okay. Defendant. She might know better. I don't know what time it was. It was when I was here with Jen. Detective Tagler. Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. At approximately 7:59 p.m., Detective Tagler advised the defendant that law enforcement was going to hold on to the defendant's phone. The defendant was told that he would receive it back when we are done. It was at this time that the defendant's phone was seized by law enforcement pursuant to this investigation. After this interview concluded, the defendant re-entered Jennifer Soto's vehicle and remained in the parking lot of the apartment complex. On February 20th, 2024, at approximately 12:16 a.m., Detective Tagler and Acosta conducted a second audio recorded interview with the defendant. During the beginning portion of the interview, Detective Tagler advised that the law enforcement had been going through I don't know whose cell phone and noticed a lot of conversation between her and the defendant. So it's going to be Maddie's cell phone. Further context after reading some more. So they were going through Maddie's cell phone and noticed a lot of conversations between her and the defendant. Detective Tagler asked the defendant to advise as to what type of relationship he had with Maddie. The defendant then stated, she thought of me as a dad, thinks of me as a dad. Now, this is another thing. We have never seen the conversations that Maddie had with Stephan Stearns. They never released those. You guys understand, as I've said to you guys before, we have not received all of the discovery. They've only given us what they've deemed releasable. It's a possibility that those conversations might have been salacious. There might have been salacious conversation between Maddie and Stephan, and they just haven't released that to us. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of people assuming that they were mundane conversations, keeping it on the up and up, trying to hide it from Jen. That may not be the case, ladies and gentlemen. It may be salacious stuff in those text messages. We have not received them yet. We may never receive them. We'll have to wait and see. Let's keep going. Big shout out to Tonta37, $2 super chat, says, I got gifted. Thank you. You're welcome. Welcome to the family. You got it. All right. Let's keep going. Defense said, then stated, she thought of me as a dad, thinks of me as a dad. Less than, first of all, he said she thought of me as a dad. Past tense. And then he corrects himself and says, thinks of me as a dad. Less than a minute into the conversation, Detective Tagler had the following exchange with the defendant. I think this is really good, though, because it's really refreshing us on these key parts. And these are the parts that are important to the prosecutor. And they're really pushing us toward what they want us to know. Of course, they want the judge to know this, but this is very probative for us. So this is really good that we're reviewing this. Detective Tagler, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Your phone, I told you that I was going to hold on to it and that we would like to download your phone, right? Defendant, okay. Detective Tagler, is this something that I have your consent to do, or do I need to get a search warrant for your phone? Defendant, it should be fine. Detective Tagler, you okay with us going through your phone? Defendant, yeah. Detective Tagler, okay. Can I have the PIN to your phone? Defendant, 42586. Detective Tagler, 42586. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Defendant, The defendant's cell phone was taken to Orange County Sheriff's Office by Detective Acosta and submitted to the Digital Forensic Unit. A cell phone extraction was completed, and the content was reviewed by detectives pursuant to the defendant's consent. Images located on the defendant's phone depicted blank, the missing 13-year-old juvie at various ages being victimized. Let's keep going. On February 28th, 2024, Orange County Sheriff's Office Detective Taylor Heller authored an affidavit for search warrant for information contained within the defendant's Google account. Remember, they never got a search warrant for his phone. They did it off of consent only. They got the search warrant for the Google account. I'm just pointing that out. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just not best practices, but let's keep going. Search warrant for information contained within the defendant's Google account. The affidavit identified the username sustanet@gmail.com for the date range of January 1st, 2020 to present. The criminal conduct identified in the affidavit was interference of child custody and possession of material depicting X performances by a juvie. Detective Heller provided in the search warrant affidavit the following relevant background information. So I'm not going to go ahead and read that out because we already know what he's going to say. And also they use a lot of terms that is not suitable for the platform. Now let's keep going. And I don't want to just be talking out the side of my mouth, changing every single word up. It's not going to make any sense. But anyway, the detective requested a search warrant, and this is a summary of the search warrant. Let's keep going. The probable cause portion of the affidavit for search warrant identifies that blank 13, when she was reported missing by blank. The affidavit identifies the defendant, Stephan Sturz, as being the last individual that saw Madeline Soto before her disappearance. Just added some words because they redacted a whole lot out. The affidavit further continues that during an interview of the defendant provided consent to search his phone. However, he stated he accidentally performed a factory reset on the phone on February 26, 2024, the same day Maddie went missing. The affidavit indicates that during the investigation, it was discovered that blank had several files of very bad stuff with juvies, material involving blank on his cell phone, and the images were stored and backed up to his Google account, sustainit@gmail.com. Detective Heller also discovered his experience with Google LLC. Detective Heller further details in his affidavit for search warrant the Google Cloud Storage Services specifically stated account holders/users can utilize the service called Google Drive to store pictures, videos, and other electronic files remotely and without taking up memory space in their personal computer, smartphone, and physical storage media. After reviewing the affidavit for search warrant submitted by Detective Heller, the Honorable Circuit Judge Reginald K. Whitehead determined that there was a probable cause to issue a search warrant for the defendant's Google account. The search warrant was issued on February 28, 2024. On March 1st, 2024, detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office downloaded reviewed the Google LLC search warrant return. Several images and videos in the search warrant return were depicting the abuse of juvies. They gave some age ranges. These files were present in the defendant account during the date range provided in the search warrant affidavit. I wonder if there's stuff beyond 2020 or if that was like the max amount of time that they actually saved that stuff. Now, burden of proof. Whew, let's take a break for a second and say what up to everybody in the chat. Whew. It's a lot of reading. Okay, anything going on in chat? Everything looks good. I think I got everybody. Let me see if I missed any super chats or anything like that or members. Nope, I got everybody. Cool. All right. Let's get back to it. Burden of proof. The defendant's motion cited to Florida's Rule of Criminal Procedure and as grounds of suppression of the Google search warrant return evidence. Pursuant to Florida Rule of blank, if the court hears the motion on its merits, the defendant shall present evidence supporting the defendant's position, and the state may offer rebuttal evidence. When evidence has been obtained by law enforcement pursuant to a search warrant that was issued, the burden is on the defendant to establish grounds of suppression. So really, I don't think that they have any chance of this motion on its own being thrown out. I don't think there's any grounds for it because they got a search warrant from a judge. The problem is that if they were to throw out the cell phone, then the search warrant stuff would be thrown out too because it'd be fruit of the poison tree. They got to the Google Drive from the phone. They looked at his phone being backed up. They saw some images that were from the Google Drive that was being re-backed up to the phone because he factory reset it. They saw that there was CSAM material on it. And because of that, they decided to do the search warrant on Google to obtain that information. That means that one set of evidence, the Google stuff, came from the original evidence, which was the cell phone. Understand that if he didn't have his phone at all, if he threw his phone in the river, this would be a totally different case, ladies and gentlemen. Understand that. Understand it'd be a totally different case. Understand that so far, we have not received any evidence that showed physical signs of X abuse on Maddie from the documents that we've received so far. The only thing that we got was DNA on the chest. They didn't specify whether that was serology or touch DNA. Could have been skin cells from his hand. Could have been spit. Could have been blood. Could have been reproductive fluids. Could have been other things. We don't know. So if he would have thrown that phone in the river, they may not even know about all of this stuff, because you have to know that the Google account exists for you to subpoena it. A subpoena has to be targeted and with its scope. You can't just go to Google and say, give me everybody's information whose name is Stephan Stearns. How many Stephan Stearns are probably out there? Doesn't seem like it's too much of a common name with the two combinations, but I'm guaranteed it'll probably be maybe a dozen Stephan Stearns in the country, if not 100 in the world. So you can't just go to Google and say, give me all the information, all the photos, all the videos that you find for all Stephan Stearns. That's an illegal search warrant. You have to know that he has a Google account. You have to know his account name. You have to know what you're looking for. So the phone is basically what made the case. Now, could you make a homicide case off of this? Absolutely. All the elements of the homicide is there. But the CSAM stuff came from the phone. The CSAM stuff came from the phone. Without that, you really can't prove that Stearns did the worst to Maddie. That's how deep this rabbit hole is. It's very interesting stuff. That's why it's so important to do best practices so you don't even give an opening for the defense. You don't give them this argument. You don't give us this conversation to talk about. There's nothing for me to talk about when it comes to this search warrant, because this search warrant was obtained doing best practices, but there's 1,000 things I could talk about when it comes to the cell phone. Let's keep going. Law enforcement obtained a search warrant prior to searching through the defendant's Google LLC account information. As such, the defendant is challenging the search warrant issued for this information. The trial court's role in reviewing the decision of the Honorable Circuit Judge Whitehead is to ensure that there was a substantial basis for concluding that the probable cause existed. I'm going to skip over the references cases, okay, because it's just unnecessary reading. Probable cause is established when two elements are set forth in the affidavit for search warrant. The commission element, a particular individual has committed a criminal offense, and two, the nexus element, evidence that is relevant to the probable criminality is likely located at the place requested to be searched. Let's keep going. Courts review the probable cause determination of another judge or magistrate should afford great deference to that decision. So basically it's saying you really shouldn't overrule what another judge did unless you have compelling evidence that that judge was wrong. So it's to give deference and assume that that judge knew what they were talking about. That's basically what they're saying right there in that argument. A grudging or negative attitude by reviewing courts toward warrant is inconsistent with the Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment's strong preference for searches conducted pursuant to a warrant. Courts should not invalidate warrants by interpreting affidavits in a hyper-technical rather than a common sense matter. So what they're saying is, listen, you shouldn't be getting too deep in the weeds with the motions from the defense. You got to use common sense, and you got to assume that the previous judge knew what he was doing and accept that judge's ruling to issue the search warrant. Let's keep going. Interesting arguments that they're making. They're like, listen, they're basically telling the judge, don't spend too much time on this, because if you do, you're kind of going against precedent. You're doing too much. Judges aren't supposed to be questioning other judges like that. You're not questioning. They're basically saying, you're not questioning Detective Tagler at this point. You're not questioning me as the prosecutor. You're questioning your fellow judge that sits on a similar bench in the same circuit as you if you overrule that judge's search warrant. Very, very interesting argument that they're making. The trial court should not disturb an issuing magistrate's determination absent a clear demonstration that the magistrate abused his discretion in relying on the information in the affidavit supporting the warrant application to find probable cause. Basically, everything I just said is what they said right now. Don't overrule that judge. Let's keep going. Law and argument. Probable cause developed during consensual search. I love it. I love legal speak. Consensual search. Yes. The legality of the searches and seizures of the defendant's cell phone is discussed in state's response to defense motions to suppress evidence obtained for the unlawful seizure of cell phone and state's response to defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from unlawful searches of cell phone. So I think they've already issued that. We got to go find that, guys. Research crew, mobilize. I need the defense, the prosecutor's response to the motion to suppress the cell phone. Activate Voltron. Go get it for me, please. Go get it for me. Let me give it a chair. Let's motivate the research crew. And any one of you out there, the research crew is a dedicated group of people, but anybody can be drafted into the research crew if you send me the stuff that I need. So please send it to me. Everybody send it to me. You got your marching orders, guys. Go do it. I want that motion. I want to sit here and read it for 50 minutes like I've been doing for this motion. 50 minutes. But you guys are hanging out with me, so it's all good. I'm not doing it alone. Let's keep going. All right. As such, the state's position is that the evidence obtained from the defendant's cell phone was legally obtained by law enforcement. Law enforcement relied on information obtained during the consensual search of the defendant's cell phone to support the probable cause recited in an affidavit for search warrant related to the defendant's Google information. I told you guys that. They stemmed from each other. Therefore, the exclusionary rule as fruit of the poisonous tree is inapplicable to the Google information obtained pursuant to the search warrant. We talked about fruit of poison tree. I hope you guys are realizing this stuff. And listen, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm trying to sell myself to you. I'm trying to endear myself to you. I'm trying always to prove to you guys what you are partaking in when you come to True Crime with Strategic. I know my stuff, guys. This is what I do for a living. So you'll hear me talk about these things, explain it to you, and then 2 minutes later, you hear me reading it to you guys from these folks who are involved in these cases. It's not because I'm a psychic. It's not because I'm a genius. It's not because I'm smarter than you. I'm not. I'm just a dumb cop. It's because this is what I do every day. Literally, it's what I do every day. And many of you are professionals in the things that you do, and you'll be able to recite those things verbatim off the top of your head because you're a professional, whatever it is that you do. This is what I do. I know what I'm talking about. And I hope you guys realize that. And I do appreciate the people who come join me every single day that we do lives and partake in what we're trying to build here. This is what I do. Let's keep going. The affidavit for search warrant establishes probable cause. When reviewing an affidavit for search warrant, the probable cause determination must be made by examining the four corners of the affidavit. Conclusory statements or bare conclusions are insufficient to support a finding of probable cause by a judge reviewing the affidavit for search warrant. They go into case law. I see some really inflammatory words I don't really want to say, so I'm just going to skip over that. It's not that I just don't want to read it. It's just that we can't say certain things and read through that, guys. Let me pause it for a second. Look how many times they speak about juvies and bad stuff that happened to them in this particular thing here. We don't want to say that on YouTube. Let's see here. In State versus McNeela, the court addressed arguments that a search warrant affidavit was insufficient to support a probable cause finding related to allegations of possession of bad stuff. Detectives received notification from a tip line. The detectives confirmed that the IP address was registered to McNeela. Law enforcement conducted an interview in which time McNeela provided consent to search his computer, of which he was the primary user. An external hard drive plugged into the computer was also searched as part of the consensual search, at which point law enforcement seized the computer and hard drive and sought search warrants. In the affidavit for the search warrant, the images sent in the original tip was described as graphic detail. Law enforcement classified images observed during the consent search as CSAM. None of the images observed by law enforcement during the consensual search were described, nor were any identified as being an image related to the original tip. The court found the warrant affidavit contained insufficient probable cause. So in this particular case, they're talking about they lost because they did a search of the guy's computer, a cursory search, and couldn't find anything. But then they took his stuff in this court case, and then they submitted for an application for a search warrant, and the judge said no. He said, listen, you did a search, you found nothing. You got an anonymous tip from a hotline, and those tips are very important. Those tip lines are very important, so I'm not making fun of them. But in this case, you got an anonymous tip from a hotline. You went to the guy. He interviewed you. I mean, you interviewed him, rather. You asked for consent to search his computer. You say, yeah, go ahead, search my computer. You searched his computer. You searched his hard drive. You found absolutely nothing. After you found absolutely nothing, you took his hard drive back to your lab. Now you're asking for me to give you a search warrant. It's denied. I'm not going to give you a search warrant because you've given me no information that supports the allegations that brought you to McNeely's house in the first place. Give him his stuff back. Search warrant denied. So that's what they're basically saying. Now, but they're using that as an example. So what the next example is probably going to say why it was applicable in the Stephan Stearns case. They're not giving an example why they're to help Stephan Stearns' situation. No, they're giving you an extreme example where, look, if we didn't have probable cause, the judge would have denied it. Look at McNeely. But let's look at the next one and see if they give an example of when the judge granted it. So in the State versus Waldridge, the court again addressed allegations that a search warrant affidavit was insufficient to support a probable cause finding related to allegations of possession of blah, 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 blah. We know what the word is that they said. Detective received another tip from that tip line. The affidavit for search warrant detailed the investigation related to Woodridge being linked to the subscriber information for the screen name. The detective indicated that they viewed the images related to the tip and also detailed his background and investigation of being involved with other cases. Woodridge's opinion gives no indication the affidavit there described the images themselves. Instead, the affidavit relied on the officer's training experience to establish that their nature as contraband. The Woodridge court reversed the trial court's order granting the suppression of evidence seized pursuant to the search warrant, finding the conclusion that the evidence did not establish probable cause was incorrect. So the original trial judge says, nah, we're going to suppress that information because I think that the search warrant was not good. But then the appeals court said, no, it was good and reinserted the evidence. So let's keep going. They're just giving more court cases. We'll start in this last paragraph. Are we almost over? So we're in 14 of 19. So we got a little ways to go, guys, but we'll get through it. In the case at hand, there was a substantial basis for concluding that the probable cause existed to support the issuance of a search warrant for Stearns' Google account, as was the case in Peltier. The description given by Detective Heller in the affidavit for search warrant cannot be confused with innocent content. Detective Heller specifically identified blank Maddie at 13 years old at the time the affidavit was drafted as being depicted in several files of that bad material. The nexus between the Google account and the criminal activity. Oh boy, it's going to get real traumatizing moving forward. Let's keep going. An affidavit for search warrant detailing probable cause must provide information supporting the probability of the evidence of the crime will likely be located in a place to be searched. Then they gave a court case. To satisfy the nexus element, the affidavit must establish the particular time when the illegal activity that is the subject of the warrant was observed. A magistrate is not required to leave common sense at the courthouse door when evaluating whether a supporting affidavit satisfies the nexus element and supports a finding of probable cause. In the affidavit for search warrant, Detective Heller indicated that the current investigation began on February 26, 2024, with Madeline Soto being reported as missing. Detective Heller indicated that interviews were conducted, mentioning an interview specifically of the defendant. The affidavit details the statements that the defendant made about dropping Maddie off on February 26, 2024. The affidavit also reflects that the defendant consented to a search of his phone and also stated he performed a factory reset on his phone on February 26, 2024. During a search of the defendant's cell phone, several files of terrible material involving Maddie was located. It was also stated that the defendant's images were stored and backed up on his Google account Sustanet. Furthermore, Detective Heller discussed the Google Drive and the storing of photographs from smartphones. Finally, the affidavit for search warrant was authored by Detective Heller on February 20th, 2024. It's interesting how in these law enforcement departments, the officers author their own search warrants. In my department, the prosecutor does it. I don't ask for search warrants. I ask the prosecutor, and they write it up. So these guys are working hard. They're working harder than me because I'm not writing all that stuff up. I don't even know how to. Let's keep going. Because it's not my job description. We don't do it up here. Prosecutor does it for you. Let's keep going. The affidavit for search warrant for the defendant's Google account provided sufficient basis for the honorable judge. I mean, listen, do I really need to read through all this? Because it's like kind of redundant. They're like really just laying it out. Says the license plate reader captured the defendant's vehicle tag traveling away from the church. The defendant backed up images from his cell phone to his Google account. It is probable that other information on the defendant's cell phone prior to the factory reset was backed up as well. Google maintains GPS data and other data, which was described in an affidavit for search warrant. Blank location located as of the submission of the affidavit for search warrant. The defendant's movements and activity that may have been backed up onto his Google account support a nexus that evidence related to the interference of child custody would be located. Okay. All right. I think we kind of get a gist of what they're saying at this point. I mean, we could just rock this out, but I really don't think it's necessary. I think we kind of got everything that we need to get. Yeah. Woo. So I'm going to have this on my Patreon. Of course, it's not, it's going to be free. Of course, it's going to be for everybody. If you just visit the Patreon and you're a member of the Patreon, a non-paying member, you'll be able to see this. It'll be free. So on Patreon, anybody can set up a Patreon account for free. If you want additional content for Patreon creators like myself, you have to become a member. If you just want to view what free content Patreon creators have, you can view that as well. So I'm going to put it on my Patreon because there's no place for me to put it on Google, right? I can't upload a PDF to the community tab, otherwise I'll do that. So I'm going to put it on the Patreon. Please consider becoming a free member of my Patreon, because if you're a free member, I do drop free things, especially Madeline Soto documents that I source myself. We put that on the Patreon for everybody to be able to see. And of course, if you want to see my exclusive videos that I put on a Patreon, you'll have to become a paid tiered member, and that's $5. But become a free member at the very least. If you don't want to become a paid member, at the very least, become a free member so that you can get these documents as well. They're not mine. I will never charge for them. I will always put them for free, the ones that I source myself. One thing I will not do is I won't go on other creators' Patreons, like I subscribe to Plunder, and take the documents from them and then put it on my Patreon for free or even paid. That is horrendous. I would never do that in a million years. But when my research crew gets documents on our own and we source them our own, we're going to make those free for you, all right? So make sure you go over there and you get those. You can read it for yourself and figure it out. You guys are amazing, man. I really appreciate you guys joining me today. We're not going to do a call-in show. We're going to do probably another live tomorrow, so come hang out with us. Once again, if anybody gets their hands on the cell phone motion answer, the prosecution's answer to the cell phone, please send that to me at my email, strategiceyes with a Z. Aki will post it inside of the comment section, strategiceyes with a Z at gmail.com. We also have our email listed in the description of all of our shows. Big shout out to all the members who joined me today and showed that love. The likes are a little anemic. Think that the likes need some iron. Please show that love. Today's my birthday. It's still my birthday for another 45 minutes, or 55 minutes rather. Show some love. Hit that like button so that we can get into that algorithm. We got 530 people watching the stream right now. Only 365 likes. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night with my kids. They don't have school tomorrow. Tomorrow's parents' teachers, so they're off. So, they'll be staying up late or whatever. Yeah, hope you guys have a great night. The computer is running great. I made a mistake and I put the RAM in the wrong RAM slot, and I had all kinds of nerds hitting me up going crazy. Your RAM is in the wrong RAM slot. Oh my God. You guys know what happened when you put your RAM in the wrong RAM slot? Absolutely nothing. You get, something happens. You get diminished performance, but they still work. But they just don't work at their max performance. So, of course, I fixed the RAM. The RAM is now in the correct RAM slot. The computer is working beautifully. We can't switch it over yet because we got to wait for that GPU. But you guys are amazing. I posted it on my shorts so you could go take a look at it. It's very beautiful. It's tons of lights in there. I didn't pay anything extra for those lights. All computers are shipping. All computer components are shipping with these fancy lights, not because that's a fad. So there's no extra money I put into it. I don't care about it looking pretty. It's going to be down by my foot. But please know that the computer is running smoothly. I just put Windows Pro on it. It's beautiful. We did it together. That's not my computer. That's our computer. I can't wait till I get the GPU. As soon as I get the GPU in there, I'll switch it over, and that will now become the official computer for True Crime with Strategic, and it's going to help us do a lot of great work and give you guys a lot of good entertainment. So anyway, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, I didn't even cue up the outro, man. Bugging out. All right, I'm queued up now. All right, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.